It's Saturday evening. It's time to talk about the very best comic books in the entire world this week with our good friend Drew. Welcome back to the channel.
Great to be back, Wes. Yeah, it's a solid week of comics. Let's talk about these awesome comics this week.
We didn't have tons of comic books come out, and we don't have like 9 or 10 comic books to recommend. But the stuff we are recommending this week, I think like pound for pound, is the best week we've had. Like everything, even like the bottom of the barrel stuff, according to this, which would be like Absolute Batman 2, which we'll get to, is still really, really good. And there are like 3 or 4 books that could have been considered best of the week. They were all vying for it. It was that strong at the top. So I was very, very happy. Despite not like tons of great books, the stuff that was good was so amazingly good this week.
Yeah, it's very rare that we have a week like this. I mean, because normally in the past, if we have a week like this, it's usually a lot of books. But the fact that there were not that many, but they're all powerful enough to be great, that's saying a lot. And toward the end of the year, too, which is terrific.
Absolutely. We got some really great stuff. A lot of it coming from indies. We'll start there. G.I. Joe, #1, Josh Williamson writing, Tom Riley on art. I was blown away by this. And I've been looking forward to this relaunch of G.I. Joe in the Energon universe. I had expectations, and it blew all of them away. I thought this was a perfect beginning. I could only find one small fault with the comic book. But otherwise, I think the art is off the chain. I think it is absolutely awesome with nostalgia. I think the coloring reminds me of the 80s. The team makeup is awesome. The stakes are thrown through the roof. There's an origin story for lasers in here. Literally everything I could have ever wanted or even imagined I wanted in a G.I. Joe #1 came to fruition this week, and I was blown away.
Yeah, likewise. I was equally blown away. I was not expecting it to be this great. I was expecting it to be decent and good because Joshua Williamson's Energon stuff has been really damn good. But yeah, this was great. This was action-packed. The dialogue was terrific. The art by Tom Riley, holy crap, he killed it in this. There's a few pages in here where, like the one with Cobra Commander, where you don't see Cobra Commander's face specifically, but you see just how horribly scarred and damaged his body is and his hand. That's what I want to see. That's my Cobra Commander right there. It looks terrific. And yeah, incorporating the lasers. You see all the major villains in place. You see Destro, you see Cobra Commander, you see all the henchmen. I see the people from Mars. I love it. And we got an introduction of a new character because I'm not familiar with this guy. I was talking last night with Aaron, who's a G.I. Joe expert, and there's a character in here. I think his name is called Risk. You see him look at a wristwatch with a message. I'm like, who is this guy? And we were kind of theorizing that maybe this could be the new Snake Eyes. I don't know. Just a guess.
He's the dude on the cover with the belt buckle that looks like he's a Texas Ranger with the rifle.
I figured that was him. But I'm just thinking maybe he could wind up being Snake Eyes later on. I don't know, but we haven't seen Snake Eyes yet. Maybe we're not going to get a Snake Eyes, but we'll see what happens. But either way, regardless, I love Stalker in this. I love Rock and Roll. Love Scarlet. Everyone has written so damn well in this. It's great to have that we can say we have 2 great G.I. Joe books out right now. If you want to stick with the old school by Larry Hama and soon to come back Chris Mooneyham, perfect. Want a new iteration on that in the Energon universe? You got this option. It's the best of both worlds. I'm like an 8-year-old again. Take my money now.
I believe we will see Snake Eyes. What Snake Eyes is a Gen 2 G.I. Joe character, and most of the characters that we're seeing right now, besides the new one, are all the Gen 1 characters. He's going to show up eventually, just not quite yet, but we have seen Storm Shadow, so we know he's going to show up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because you can't have one without the other.
Blew my mind away on that one. I expected so much, and it actually delivered and then some, but that wasn't all the Energon universe gave us this week. Transformers 14, Daniel Warren Johnson writing, Jason Howard on art. On issue 13, I was like, hey, this is good. I don't know this is the story that I want to read, but my mind was absolutely turned around connecting Starscream to a Hiss tank and having him come into contact with these Cobra operatives and the weird things, the deals that he was having to make, and the flashbacks to back on Cybertron were absolutely fantastic. I still don't love the art quite as much as Jorge Corona, certainly Daniel Warren Johnson, but it's growing on me. I thought this was just going to be some like little throwaway, side story arc about Starscream, that it wasn't going to be that great, but certainly interesting. And it really turned my mind. I was really, really engaged on this one.
Reading this, I was all over the place because, like you said, when you see the top half of Starscream merged to a Hiss tank, I'm laughing my butt off. Because I'm like, that is hilarious. That is what an 8-year-old would do. That's what I would have done when I was a kid. He looks great, and I hope we do eventually get a toy version of that because it would be fantastic. And I just love Starscream's reaction to it. It's great. But after that, like you said, when we get the flashbacks of Starscream on Cybertron, how Megatron used him, it's pretty sad. You see the tragic fall of Starscream. When if we see him becoming the monster that he will become, what he has to do, it's heartbreaking. But at the same time, you realize he's a piece of crap. Because so there's some characters in this that I thought who were going to be pretty safe, because we're used to the demographics of these types of characters that they're going to wind up being like the best ever, not going to get hurt. But one of which I'm like, holy crap, he went there he completely killed her. Gone, done. Like, yes, that's awesome. Not safe, protected, keeping me on the heel of my shoes. Love it. And I can't wait to see what happens next, because I think we're probably going to get one more chapter in the origin of Starscream, maybe two more. But I hope we get to see a little bit more in this, because this is terrific. The art was okay. It's not great. It's not bad. It's still good. And if you're not on the Transformers train, do hop in on this, because you're going to have a blast.
Absolutely. The Energon universe is definitely the hottest thing in comic books. It's hotter than the Absolute universe, and as much as I'm enjoying Absolute Batman, which we'll get to here in a few minutes, the Energon stuff is just when it hits, it is absolutely perfect. We've also got on the indie scene Space Ghost #7, David Pepos writing, Jonathan Lau on art. I'm shocked I'm still loving this series so much. We've had big explorations of Space Ghost, Jace, Jan, and we finally got the blip issue that I didn't know that I wanted. They get crash landed on a planet that's been taken over by the Creature King, and he's got rays that make humans savage and beast-like and make beasts and animals very smart like humans. Juxtaposition, Blip is the only one that's actually gotten smarter, and he's got to save Space Ghost and Jan before they have to fight in the Coliseum, and he's trying to keep Jace on his feet and in the game. And I love the way that they're doing it. They're highlighting every character, and it feels so much like it's right out of the 70s and serialized pulp storytelling.
Yeah, like you said, we've never gotten a story like this from this character before, and it was great hearing him finally be able to talk and talking to Jan, and it was fantastic. And we've given a lot of critiques to David Pepos in the past, and he's rightly so. He's deserved it for his run on the Punisher and Savage Avengers, which were not great, not good. And when you read this, it's like he is a completely different person, and I really truly believe his heart is in this book, because you can tell he's putting a lot of care into these characters. They're written so damn well. Every issue is so meaningful. They're not just filler. And I got to give him all the credit in the world. This is probably Space Ghost is going to go down as probably one of the top 10 books of the year for me. And because each issue has been so damn good. The dialogue, the art, and each issue has heart, and it's fun, and it's got to be coming back for more. If you're not familiar with Space Ghost, do check this out. And if you're not too familiar with Blip, you're gonna enjoy this one, because he is great in this. The dialogue between him and Jan and the others, it's fantastic.
Really enjoying that one. Didn't know I was a Space Ghost fan. Turns out that I am. Mm-hmm. Now, normally we would give you a Marvel comic recommendation, but I got nothing to give you. And it's not like it was a small week. We got ASM this week. We got Uncanny X-Men. Nothing really worth recommending. In fact, I would say Psylocke, #1 from Melissa Wong, is better than ASM or Uncanny X-Men. That's how bad the week was. So,
yeah, and that was just generic action girl. Yeah, generic action girl comic. And nah.
Definitely the best thing they produced this week. But DC thankfully made up for that. Absolute Batman #2, Scott Snyder writing, Nick Dragotta on art. I love that Scott Snyder is saying, screw that. This isn't the most serious thing in the world. I'm just going to be fun and have enormous Batman doing enormously crazy things, while Alfred watches on in amazement that he's doing so many enormously heinous things, like burning people or melting people alive with hydrochloric acid. There's so many cool visuals from Nick Dragotta here. Buildings blowing up with like the effigy of Batman on them, and all these bat symbols going off in the city as he's blowing things up and destroying the party animals left and right. It's not perfect all the way through, but if you're just looking for something that's like fun and just real dumb fun, this is the comic book for you.
Yeah, it really is. It really taken as just an over-the-top extreme parody of Batman, because you cannot read this book seriously. The minute you start trying to incorporate logic into this book and try to incorporate seriousness into this, it's going to fall apart. It's going to collapse like a bunch of broccoli. But yeah, you're going to have a blast reading it regardless. Just don't think about it. Just go with the art, go with the over-the-top action, just Batman straight up killing everyone left and right. Like it's like watching Frank Drebin in the Naked Gun movies. It's just you're gonna enjoy it. It's hilarious because if you're an 8-year-old, you're gonna have a blast with this. Just get into the 8-year-old mindset. Just go with it. It is a lot of fun. And Nick Dragotta's art, I gotta give him credit. It's like a Batman manga, pretty much American manga style, and I think they're trying to bring in a bunch of new readers that way, and I think it may be successful with that. So do check this out. It's pretty. It's a lot of fun.
I'm definitely on board with the world's dumbest detective.
Yes.
Just enjoy it for what it is. If you want a more serious take on Batman and Robin 15, Philip Kennedy Johnson writing, Javi Fernandez on art is probably going to be more of your sweet spot. Damian is a character that is constantly being devolved. In fact, he would even say in the first issue after Philip Kennedy Johnson took over Batman and Robin, he kind of devolved back to kind of bratty Damian Wayne, but we're getting some real character progression in the second issue. He's allowed to fail, and he fails big time in this opening action sequence, which was off the charts amazing. Where you got Damian in the building, Bruce is in the basement, the catacombs, trying to get out. Things happen. Damian is not dealing with it well, and it's an opportunity for Bruce to introduce him to his grandfather that he never knew, Thomas Wayne. And I thought that was a really cool thing that they're doing in there. They've also introduced this villain, Memento, and these copycat killings that are going on that I think are very, very interesting. But the dynamics around Damian Wayne, I want to see character progression, and it feels like that's what we're getting.
I'm not going to lie. I loved, for lack of a better term, regression of Damian back into the bratty Damian. I love bratty Damian. To me, that is the best iteration of him. And how he was written in the first issue, I absolutely loved it. How he was an absolute jerk to that little girl. That's perfect. To me, that is in character to Damian. And in this issue, it's pretty heartbreaking when you see what happens in this issue. It's like, oh, crap. And he has a very human moment, and I enjoyed it, and everyone needs to be checking that out. The fight scenes in this were terrific. The art in this was really damn good, too. I got to give the artist credit in this. Yeah, so much better than that Simone DeMeo who was doing the art earlier. That was just straight up garbage. I am very curious about this villain. Memento was his name, I believe, and incorporating the origin of Bruce Wayne, his training in the past. I'm like, with that element, it's like, okay, we've gotten this a lot over the past couple of years. His training, being a detective. I'm like, do we need more of this? But whatever, I can go with it. It's still good, and this villain is very interesting. What he's trying to do. Dude, this is a very serious take, very fun take. Do check this out.
Yeah, Batman and Robin has gotten much, much better. Hopefully the sales start increasing on that one. Job well done for Philip Kennedy Johnson. Our last recommendation for comic books, Green Lantern 17, Jeremy Adams writing Zermanico on art. And what Jeremy Adams is doing here, and he is going to be writing the Green Lantern Corps starting next year, I believe. He's getting another Green Lantern series, and I'm very happy about that. Obviously, he's going to be on Aquaman. What he accomplishes in this one issue, most writers would do in 6 issues. They might even do over an entire year. He accomplishes more in this one issue than Ram B did in a 3-year run on Detective Comics, just as far as storytelling, things happening that matter, that actually affect the characters and move things forward. It's absolutely amazing to see a comic book writer embracing the medium, using the serialized format to its best ability, and we're actually starting to see all the other lanterns shine in this particular series. We got Mogo going wild, we got Planets in Peril, and so many things are happening all at the same time, perfectly illustrated and perfectly told to where you keep up with all of it, and it feels like we're heading to something like Blackest Night. It's that big, the way that he's built this up.
Yeah, this is a massive event level series that he's doing in each subsequent issue of Green Lantern, which is insane. Just how big everything is. And like you said, decompression has been so utilized by so many quote unquote creatives in the big two that you're very rarely to get something like this in 2 to 3 issues. Maybe 6 you'll get it, but in this you get all this, like 6 issues of stuff from decompression into 1 issue in this. That's fantastic. I gotta give Jeremy Adams all the props in the world to that. And on top of that, Alan Scott is written like the traditional true hero that Alan Scott is in this. He is written in character in this. There's nothing about who he's into, nothing what he's all about in the bedroom now. It's just him being a hero, and it's perfect. That's how it should be. And Guy Gardner straight up kicking ass. You got all the other bringing back in the one female Green Lantern. I forget what her name is. Jessica Cruz. She's back in this.
Oh, Jess is back. Yeah,
Jess is back, and we may get a sacrifice from a certain Green Lantern at the end of this book. I'm not going to say who. You got to read to find out. But yeah, this issue is action packed and art is fantastic. If you love the Green Lanterns, like the Green Lanterns, you're truly going to fall in love with this book because Jeremy Adams truly respects these characters for who they are. This is, I mean, between Robert Venditti and Jeremy Adams, these two have really more or less saving the light of Green Lantern with their runs. And yeah, everyone needs to check this out. Arguably the best series from DC right now, Green Lantern.
I say inarguably, it's the best series from DC. It's one of the best all year. And the only comic book better than this, I think this week is probably G.I. Joe #1, which was very, very well done. This one's right behind it. I thought Green Lantern was off the charts great. And we're going to do a first here, first time ever, right here on Best of the Week, Think Critical YouTube. Normally talk about comic books. You want to recommend a book with words and no pictures. What the hell are you doing to be true?
Yeah, it's Batman Resurrection, written by John Jackson Miller, longtime Star Wars writer, as well as he ran a website that monitored comic book sales from all the years in the past. But yeah, this is Batman Resurrection. It picks up right after Batman 1989, the original film, and every character is back in this, and they're all written into character. We have introduction of Batman legacy characters into this. They're teased and hinted at throughout the book. I don't want to say who shows up in this, but they all make sense in this. And there's a great villain in this, longtime Batman villain. How he's created in this, it makes perfect sense. Everything is so the way John Jackson Miller writes this, everything visually, you can just picture every single thing, every single panel. You can picture it. It's beautiful, and it may leave the door open for a follow-up novel. We'll see with another villain. But everyone needs to check this out. If you thought the Sam Hamm sequelized Batman 89 comics were garbage, in which they are, you need to check this out. This novel is fantastic. John Jackson Miller does it right. This is what they should have done in the comic book version. Do check out Batman Resurrection. You will not be disappointed.
I don't know. Books without pictures, it just don't make sense to me anymore. I do want to say thank you very much to Drew for joining us, talking about the best of the week. Had a lot of fun. If you would like more stuff like this, talk about comic books themselves, we do have the Hot or Not podcast with Jim from Weird Science, where we talk about not only all the best comic books of the week, we talk about the worst comic books of the week and everything in between. So we will talk about all the major releases from Marvel, DC, and indie books every single week on Think Critical Patreon. If you haven't checked that out, there's a link in the video description. It's on the dock is right here. I hope to see you there very, very soon.